Ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've all been waiting for. In this corner, the largest predatory fish in the world, unchanged for millions of years of evolution, 20 feet long and weighing over 2 tons, Jaws itself, the Great White Shark! And in this corner, the largest terrestrial carnivore on Earth today, standing over 10 feet tall and weighing over 1,500 pounds, a mountain of fur, muscle, claws, and teeth, the Alaskan Kodiak Grizzly Bear! To enter, only one leaves alive in this fight to the death. It's time for a death battle! I'm serious, that's what they call it in the book. I think Screw Attack's gonna sue somebody, or at least they would if this book hadn't been written over 30 years ago. Yeah, it's kinda silly, but it's the story behind today's review, The Predators. No, not those Predators! Geez, seriously, who gets the pictures for this thing? Written by Mark Washburn and Robert Webb and published in 1984, The Predators is the story of a cable TV producer, Agi Zisk, who decides the best way to get more viewers for his channel is to stage this fight. The story mainly follows cameraman Tim O'Dell as he is hired to film the capture and eventual fight of these two animals. First, he heads off to Australia, where he meets marine biologist and shark expert Devin Downing. She's kind of this hot, blonde bombshell, and the two of them start to hit it off after they rescue each other during the shark's capture. Next, he flies to Alaska, where he meets Native American hunter and tracker, meaning he is a Native American who hunts and tracks, not a hunter and tracker of Native Americans, by the name of Jack Bearclaw. Yes, the guy who catches the bear is named Bearclaw. Of course he is. While that's going on, Zisk is working with a few people on how exactly they're going to stage this and where. They decide to go to a Central American country, one ruled by a militaristic dictator, and convince him to let them stage this fight in his nation. And that's pretty much the book. The animals are shipped to Central America, where they start getting trained to fight each other. There is an outrage about the blatant animal cruelty on display from pretty much everybody who isn't Zisk or the General. The number of people who sign up to watch this cable network skyrockets because, hey, now we're curious. Who would win? Well, I'm not going to tell you who's going to win. Okay, calm down. I'm just here to talk about the book itself. And as for that, it is okay. It's just okay. There's nothing necessarily big or spectacular aside from the premise. There is, however, one major flaw. It's very dated. This book was written and published in the mid-80s, and it shows. There's one particular scene where one of the producers shows a strip of film to the network manager and says that it's unedited, when in fact it has been heavily edited. 1. Thinking that a guy who works in the television industry wouldn't recognize when film has been edited is rather silly. 2. Nowadays, anybody with a computer and Windows Movie Maker can edit a video, so pretty much everybody knows what an edited film looks like. The characters also leave something to be desired. Despite being the shark expert in this book, Devin Downing is used more often as a sex symbol and is seen as such by nearly every male in this book. Would I mind this? Maybe not if the authors didn't seem to treat her like such. How am I supposed to be sympathetic to our main character when he's ogling a woman like she's a cut of meat at a store? There's one scene in particular. Devin has just arrived in Puerto Cortes, that's the name of this country, and is rightfully outraged about what they're planning to do with her shark. But all Tim O'Dell can do is stare at her cleavage in her front-tied shirt. I mean, come on guys, not every man out there is a pig. Are you seriously saying that just because a man sees a woman's cleavage in his shirt like that, he's going to... Oh, hey, those are kind of nice. What was I doing? Yeah. So, yeah, just because he sees a woman like that, he's going to... Get that off the screen. So, okay, yeah. She kind of jumps from bed to bed over the course of the story. Well, okay, she jumps into 2 beds over the course of the story. But still, seriously? Your most significant female character in the book and what she does is sleep around with people? She's supposed to be a shark expert. She's a scientist. Why is she jumping from bed to bed from people like she's a common harlot? Why is it that the most sympathetic people in this story are the bear and the shark? Also, the country this fight is supposed to be filmed in is a place called Puerto Cortes, as I mentioned previously, and is basically a banana republic which grew out of the issues with Cuba and the Cold War. Once again, very 80s. The guy in charge of this place wouldn't be out of place in a cheesy 80s exploitation movie. There's a subplot about drug trafficking, wealthy tourists who pay to see the shark in person, a military coup and a government toppling, things like that. It flat out states it takes place in the 20th century. Really dates itself pretty bad and makes it difficult for anybody who didn't grow up in that time to be able to read it without a hint of irony. That, however, is the only major problem with this work, and it might be a little harsh to judge a book on something like that considering every piece of art will inevitably date itself to the time it was made. Even the classics are still connected to a certain time period. Sherlock Holmes will almost always be associated with the Victorian era, so can't really be that harsh on it for that. And as I said, this book is okay. It'd probably be a good airport book if you were stuck with a delayed flight and nothing better to do. I'd give it 2.5 out of 4 stars. And that's all we have for you today. Hopefully next time the both of us will be back together and we can discuss another book. Alright, see you all later.
Now, another fun thing to do if you've got the money and you got the time, it's well worth your while if you can organize yourself a fight between a bear and a shark. Now, what you're gonna need to get started off with is a shallow little wading pool, okay? Now, any old wading pool will do, but I prefer one with aluminum siding, or aluminium, if you will.